you want to know the solution to each and every problem this world has to offer?
Look to your left and look to your right. It's not the clothes your neighbor's wearing. It's not the money in their wallet. No. It's the internal potential inside each and every person around the world. It's out there, ladies and gentlemen. The cure to cancer, the answer to our water crisis, the solution to our global energy problem, the next great world leader. It's out there, or right in here, inside each and every one of us. But we're so busy throwing things at people that we forget what the world's greatest resource is: us. I was 17 years old, and I was looking for an opportunity that looked great on a college application. I was completely self-absorbed and only thinking about my own actions. I had a 4.6 GPA. I was the captain of my high school football team. I was being recruited all over the country to play football, and I was having the time of my life. But I had these cultural blinders on that blinded me. And I still got the opportunity to travel to Kenya with an organization focused all around charity and kindness to give back to the less fortunate. But what do you think the first thought that pops into my selfish head when I get this news? I'm going to look great on college applications. So we touched down in Nairobi, Kenya, into an airport that had just recently burned down. Get onto the freeway where there's cows and goats and chickens running around everywhere, and people are looking at me like I just jumped out of a cartoon. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what am I doing here? There was a mall bombing a few weeks ago. My mom wants nothing to do with me being here. Yeah, I'm still young enough to take orders from my mom. And I've had these cultural blinders on my whole life. But I'm here with a team of heroes to save the day, aren't I? After traveling through the Kenyan countryside, we pull up to a gate that reads Tumaini. I later came to learn that Tumaini was the Swahili word meaning hope. I also came to learn how little our Western culture was doing to provide this hope. When I pulled up to these gates, I saw my own hope. I saw my own future. I saw a future that had nothing to do with the 275 kids that had lost their parents due to HIV or AIDS, had the disease themselves, or were placed in this home because of poverty that none of us can even begin to fathom. I didn't quite understand how these children were so timid, nervous, and afraid to get to know us when we first showed up. And after thinking about it, they go through this over and over again. People like me come in, give them a pair of shoes, give them a pencil, take a picture, and then we leave. We leave without the understanding that all these kids want in the whole world is to feel connected to us, to feel connected to the rest of the world. And this is something that we forget a lot because we're focused so much on material items, we forget how important these everyday relationships are. These kids haven't. I want to leave you with one thought today. Charity is done right when the focus is taken off of the good or service being rendered and focused all on the idea of human achievement. The Western world's been crippling the development of these underprivileged areas around the world by simply thinking that giving them material things is going to solve the problem. We've been shown countless images of sad children to guilt us into giving our hard-earned money into buying material things that are going to help these people. If this continues to happen, we're never going to start seeing change. On this trip, I slept in their chambers. I ate the food they ate, had the conversations they had, played the games they played, and I fell in love. The student athlete in me who was focused all about my own financial wealth and building my resume immediately turned into a citizen of the world. A citizen of the world who saw true success not as what others could offer me, but what I could offer others. On the last day of this trip, this young boy named David jumped into my arms crying. I now revere David as a little brother, and we'd spent the last 2 weeks building one of the most prized relationships I'll ever have. David didn't look up to me because of what I was going to give him or what I did give him. He looked up to me because I treated him like each and every other member of my family, with true love and true compassion. As he was in my arms crying, I vowed I'd return, but this time not just as a bystander. I wanted to create something that didn't simply give, but actually creates. I wanted to create something that kids could hold on to an opportunity for longer than a 2-week period of time. After returning from my trip to Kenya, I started a movement called Health Humanity, focused on sustainability, not charity. I spent the last 3 years of my life traveling to Africa, from Kenya to Ghana to Uganda, teaching people how to solve their own problems. It all started when I was 17, when I was sucked out of the safety of California and led into the real world. One of the largest misconceptions this world has is that these developing nations need our life-saving and heroic charity work. This life-saving, heroic charity work is only furthering the depression that we're going through. And this medicine that we're creating is only temporarily healing this wound as opposed to creating those long-term solutions. So for the purpose of the following example, let's call these material items medicine. And picture this. You're sick, sitting on your couch at home one day, all alone. You have no idea what you have, so you're waiting for it to go away. Unexpectedly, this crazy guy in this big, expensive costume comes busting in saying, and let's call him Giving Man. He comes barging through your front door, and he sits there and he says, "Here I am to save the world." And he comes and hands you this magical medicine that he says is going to fix everything. Now you're sitting there thinking, who is this whack job that just ran into my house uninvited and gave me this medicine? What's he trying to give me? But just like every other situation where some crazy guy comes running into your house telling you he has the solution, what do? You take it. And at this point, you're thinking, Giving Man, he's the greatest. He just fixed everything, right? I mean, you feel better, you're happy. You have no idea what this guy just gave you. But he came in, he shared a few laughs, took a few pictures, and promised you'd be back tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. Uh-oh. You're still sick. You feel worse than you felt yesterday because that magical solution that Giving Man came in and gave you was just masking the symptoms of poverty while the actual root causes were still worsening. He comes in, thinks this is going to be the solution, and doesn't tell you what you need. You spend the next few days depending on him coming back, waiting for him to come back, waiting for more of that magical medicine. After enough time, you realize he's not coming back. And you still don't know what you have because he didn't teach you. You don't know how to take the first step towards getting better because he didn't give you the source. With my experience in the trenches, my Giving Man metaphor represents all the traditional charities that simply think that feeding temporary solutions is going to solve the problem. And the medicine, in the forms of the countless millions of dollars that us as do-gooders are wasting on giving these material items, is only masking the symptoms of poverty. Giving, without the ideology of future solution, is worse than not giving at all. And that's why my team and I started the fight against giving. One of the largest misconceptions that we have is this idea that we can come in and we can do this without teaching these people. And we can do this without their input and without changing their ideology behind it. So each and every trip that I go on, there's always one moment where I know we've done our job right. By developing people, by uncovering their true potential, by showing them that they have value, we've already taken the first step towards a solution. The look that people get in their eyes when they realize that they control their own destiny is like nothing I've ever seen before. The sheer passion, the sheer desire, the sheer motivation and innovation that comes from this look is the first step. And we need to start focusing on that. My final story is about my best friend, business partner, and brother, Hezron Mainaniri. Hezron is one of the incredible people that I met on my first trip over to Kenya. He's a product of the Kenyan orphanage system. He never knew his dad. His mother died when he was very young, and he was left in the arms of his grandma who didn't have the means to take care of him. So he was put into Tumaini Children's Home. He had himself, he had his determination, and he had an idea in his head that he wasn't going to let his current circumstances shape who he became. Kids in Kenya have a hard time staying motivated. It's really hard. They oftentimes have huge aspirations and huge dreams, but seldom is there the possibility for them to turn those dreams and aspirations and bring them to fruition. Somehow Hezron stayed persistent. Somehow he stayed determined, and he got through school and earned himself a scholarship to college in Kenya, which is unheard of. And this is where our story collides. In 2013, when Hezron and I decided to start Health Humanity, we wanted to turn a simple concept into a life-saving solution focused on entrepreneurship. After months of uphill battles, and neither of us know what we're doing, we implemented our first job training program in Tumaini Children's Home, the same children's home that Hezron grew up in. This was Hezron's first job, his first chance at being able to empower his community. We may not have been equipped with the skills that we needed to do this. Hezron could barely write an email at this point, didn't know much about finance or bookkeeping, nothing about marketing or sales, and he could really barely communicate at this point. But he saw this opportunity that he could create a life for himself. He could solve the problems in his community. He could empower the people that he lives with, and he took it. Hezron's program is now thriving. His entrepreneurs are earning 6 times the national wages. Local economies are being boosted, and people are being developed to have the skills that they need to take care of themselves. Hezron is now a community leader. He's helped me open up 11 more H2H job training locations around the world, and he's on his 12th and 13th in Kenya right now. Now, how would this situation have unfolded if I had simply given him money or things or items as opposed to investing the last 3 years into his life? Hezron has taken this opportunity, and he's turned into one of the most remarkable people that I have met and ever will meet. Think about how many people there are around the world that are just like Hezron, waiting for an opportunity. The world's broken. That doesn't mean it can't be healed. Just like a broken bone, we can't put a Band-Aid on it and hope it just goes away. We got to set the bone, cast the broken area, and give it time to heal on its own. If we can commit to long-term solutions as opposed to quick fixes, we can spark life-changing and life-saving solutions worldwide. Today's the day you step up. You stop giving your hard-earned money to organizations that simply say they're going to make a difference. People, not things, are what's going to change the world. And if we can start investing in them, we're going to get back on the right track. Join me in my fight against giving, and let's take the first step towards absolute global improvement. Thank you.